Good morning. Thank you again for joining us today on this beautiful morning here in October. I'm coming to you live from the Resilience Garden. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Shannon Romero. I am Coach de Santo Domingo and Navajo, and I would like to introduce my co-host, Miss Ria Thundercloud.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for sharing this Sunday morning with us. My name is Ria Thundercloud. I'm from San Diego Pueblo, Taos Pueblo, and Ho-Chunk.
Thank you. And we're really excited about our program today. We have some really cool things to share with you. But first, what I would like to do is I'd like to share today's webinar agenda. So this morning, we're going to talk a little bit about our webinar etiquette. Then we'll go into drying methods with Miss Thundercloud. We'll also talk a little bit about harvesting and corn drying. We will have an awesome demonstration by Chef Naranjo with a traditional foods demonstration. And then we'll talk a little bit about winnowing and techniques. We will also give time in our webinar to have Q&A. So before we start, I'm going to just talk about a little bit about our webinar etiquette. So please help to cut down the background noise and remain on mute when you enter the webinar. There will be time for Q&A for participants at the bottom half of our webinar today. And as time allows, Ria will be answering those questions. You're welcome to use the chat button for comments. We will try to answer questions if time allows. And today, when we come to the Q&A portion, we ask that you be respectful of one another and to remember this is a safe place for learning and engaging. And last but not least, please have respect for limited sharing of sacred and ceremonial practices. With that, I'm going to give it to Ria, Miss Thundercloud.
Once again, good morning, everyone. So I am going to get started on our corn. And I just want to start off by mentioning that corn is such a vital part of who we are as Pueblo people. And I say that because we have corn dances, we honor a lot of things that surround our area, like the mountains, the thunder, we have our mountain gods, our thunder gods, our corn, we have our deer, everything we give thanks for, and we always give before we take. So before we take any of the corn, we'll offer a prayer or offer some cornmeal for everything that it's going to provide, the sustenance and the nutrition that it will help nourish our bodies. But I also feel like corn is a part of our kinship. So a lot of creation stories for Pueblo people we come from underworld or we come from the land. A lot of the Pueblo creation stories come from we all have our own stories. Each Pueblo has their own particular story. And, you know, certain Pueblos come from underground, certain Pueblos come from caves, from rocks, from mountains. It just depends. But either way, that means that this land is our kinship. It is our family. You know, we pray to the land, we pray to the food, we pray to the animals because it's all our family and it's our kinship. So I think that's a very important part when we talk about our food and we talk about our corn and, you know, anything that surrounds us and all these like earthly matters. So this is our Resilience Garden. I just want to introduce our Resilience Garden at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. It is an award-winning resilience garden with our blue corn and our squash. This year we planted blue corn, we planted squash, we had peas, we had lots of chili, we had cabbage, we had tomatoes, basil, mint. We had a lot of things, but we're also starting our cool crop garden. So we're going to be planting more seeds that thrive in colder climates that will survive this fall season. So a long time ago, this particular picture is found in Chaco Canyon, and it's a phenomenon that is the only compass that can project the spring and autumn equinox in the same timeline, in the same compass. And it is extremely intuitive and extremely in tune with the sun, the moon, the stars, the solstice. So Pueblo people have been very involved with understanding the summer, the winter, the autumn, the solstice times of years, and aligning with the moon and things that happen universally. But we always say as above, as below. So what's happening up in the cosmos and in our sky world is also aligned with what's happening here on Earth. So this is just a cool little picture that kind of shows how how long and how profound and how extremely connected Pueblo people have been with the cosmos when it comes to planting, when it comes to harvesting, and when it comes to our connection to food and the spirit world. So this is another chart that kind of shows the different equinoxes and the solstice. And this has our cycle of how we harvest, how we plant, how we go off of the moon, the sun, and different solstice in the spirit, in the cosmos. Like that is how our calendar works. We go off of a solstice calendar. So that is how the Pueblo people live, and it's still very prevalent today. And I think a lot of people are actually reverting back because of the climate change happening in the world now, with all of the different construction and all of the things happening in the world right now that has to do with a lot of climate change. So a lot of the Native people are very in tune. Pueblo people are in tune with the cosmos that are helping us with our harvesting season. So we're going to get a little bit into our seed saving. So, we have several different methods for seed saving, and we have our drying method and our wet method. So we're able to save seeds where we can pick them and dry them, and then we can also keep them in, kind of germinate them in their own pulp. So some of the ways that we used to clean our dry seeds was threshing, winnowing, and drying. Yes, and this includes like all kinds of different seeds. These methods work for a lot of the seeds. There's our equinox calendar again. Threshing. Threshing is where the seeds are removed from the shaft and then stored. And this is something that, because a lot of the seed saving had to be done for a community. We were very communal. So this is a way that is just kind of very productive with our time, with our bodies, and with our resources that we had. There's also winnowing, and I think Shannon will be demonstrating this a little later. We have our drying. So we have drying methods like drying racks. We have, a drying rack is very modern today. A lot of other ways that are super modern today with you can hydrate your seeds, you can put them in the air fryer and the oven. There's just like so many things you can do. But we used to traditionally just dry our seeds out with the sun. So drying wet seeds, some example of the wet seeds include melons, watermelon, squash, tomatillo, and tomato. Wet seeds should be harvested when the fruit are slightly overripe but not rotten. So seed drying, just like I said, it's something that has become very modernized today, but originally we would put them out to dry in the sun. We had our own drying racks and different forms and different magnitudes for different pueblos. And then I think it's very important to seal them in an airtight container and store them. And seeds can be good for up to 3 years, a year, 5 years, and you want to store it in a cool, dark place. So the following are typically mature and therefore ready to be harvested when dry. Amaranth. Amaranth is something that we've been using. We have beautiful red amaranth in our garden, and we're going to use it for some dye. We want to dye some of our things, and it's a natural dye, so we're really trying to be sustainable and economically sustainable. So beans, black beans, chilies, corn, gourds, okra, sunflowers, melons, and and I don't know if everyone knows this, but sunflower seeds is the fourth sister. So there's corn, squash, and beans, and then sunflowers is the fourth sister. So all of these seeds that are mentioned are something that we want to locally harvest and keep. We want to save these seeds and harvest them, because that means and we can put it back into our land and we can save these different breeds of seeds. And I think that's important that we, as people who live in the Southwest, that where the land is it's unique here. And so people of this land know to harvest these different plants in this climate. So it's important to use these same seeds in the climate, because that means that this is where they thrive best. And that's how we know that these land race seeds are saved. And it's important for our, just for Indigenous people, but also for just being able to harvest and grow really sustainable crops in the Southwest. So there's seed selection, which is a variety of seeds you can look at when saving seeds. Identify the purpose of your garden will help you determine where to start. So there's the pizza garden. Focus would be on flavor and yields. And then there's the low maintenance garden, where focus would be on self-pollinating plants, fruits that don't go bad quickly, and plants that don't need consistent watering. So pizza garden is something that is that focuses on flavor, but a low maintenance garden is something that focuses on, I think, water saving. So then it would be something where you can actually consistently use your water productively without wasting any water at all. So there's a variety of different ways you can do that with waffle gardens, with convex gardens, like different kinds of gardens like that. So these are some of the harvests that the Resilience Garden had. I just would like to mention that carrots come in all different colors. They come in purple, red, orange, yellow. They're like a plethora of colors and rainbows. And the orange carrot actually is kind of based off colonization, where it was in honor of a leader in Europe, and they decided to keep the carrot. They named the carrot after him, the leader. And so the orange color stuck. But there's actually so many different colors of carrots, just like there's so many different varieties of corn, squash. I mean, it's just beautiful to look at all of these different types of nourishment. And each one of these vegetables and every fruit that you eat can charge different parts of your body, because there's colors that resonate with different parts of your body. So if you eat blue corn, if you eat yellow corn, I mean, corn, these are all power foods, and especially this combination, these are traditional power source foods, and this is how Pueblo people used to live. And I mean, Indigenous people were extremely athletic and extremely strong, and this was their diet. So these not only charge our bodies physically, but also emotionally. You can eat foods that charge your heart, that charge your mind, that can charge your willpower. Yellow is linked to your willpower. The reds are linked to your groundedness. Green is related to love. And I just think that's really cool that all these fruits and vegetables come in so many different colors, because it goes beyond the physical, and it goes spiritually as well. And I think that's important with the intention when people garden, the energy they put into their food. And it helps so much more when you are putting in the work to your own garden and harvesting your own food and doing straight from garden to table. There is less, it's so sustainable, but it just helps you appreciate and be extremely mindful of what you put in your body, how you eat it, and that you're really nourishing your spirit at that time. Like, it becomes more than a meal. It becomes like you're creating a sanctuary for your spirit when you eat such traditional foods, and you really start appreciating and gardening. And I just feel like that's how we worship our spirits and our bodies and ourselves, is when we mindfully and consciously pick foods that are strong for our minds and bodies. So here is just a little chart about these seeds and the longevity of the seeds and how long they can last, and how so many landrace seeds can date back for thousands of years. And that's what I was mentioning earlier, that these landrace seeds are important to harvest and to plant and to kind of keep them alive, because they are heirlooms. They're extreme heirlooms. And I think that's amazing that these seeds have sustained colonization, just like much of the indigenous people, because it's, these seeds have faced colonization, and they wanted to wipe these out so they can replace them with processed foods, fast foods. And these seeds are extremely resilient. And I think it's on the people who love to garden, who connect with the earth. I mean, anyone who is in tune with garden and their food, like, this is so important. And I think that's what makes these seeds amazing. And they all have their own stories and their own history and their lineage. And I think that's amazing. And I think that is, kinship as well when we relate to these seeds. So indigenous people would use juniper ash in their blue cornmeal to get unavailable nutrients locked in the corn, such as vitamin A, calcium. And I think that's really awesome. Me and Shannon actually use our juniper ash when we make our blue cornmeal. We put it into our mama dolls, our blue cornmeal tamales. I just think it's amazing, because it's just indigenous knowledge that we're utilizing, and we're able to incorporate it into today. And I think that it's become very normalized in my own life personally. So it's like becoming a step that I'm used to now. And I think that's cool, just incorporating it slowly, that it becomes normalized within, when we make these things. And then it's also just really cool to, just learn about this. So when corn is soaked and cooked in alkaline solution, usually lime water, washed and then hulled, this method is called nixtamalization. So this will add, aids in flavor, takes the hull off the corn, helps soften kernels, the nutrition value is increased, allows dough formation, enhances the quality of corn protein, helps to make the niacin in corn more absorbable in the human body. And it just also has like a lot of benefits. So adding juniper ash to like bloom corn mush is amazing. So, I mean, there's a few videos on here that I can link in the chat below if you guys would like to watch these videos. I can do that right after I finish this PowerPoint. So these are our blue corn mama doll tamales, and this is such an awesome process. We work with our kids in doing this. I mean, it's a great project for the youth because it's such a long process to make mama dolls, but also I think incorporating the core values of Pueblo people while making these things is super amazing, and it becomes a lesson in itself just for about morals, values, and reciprocity. So what the education team actually does this. I mean, we're not doing it right now because of COVID, and it's really sad because I miss our kids and I really miss doing this project because it's really fun. But you know, I encourage everybody to do this at home. It's very easy and it's a good meal, but not only that, it is plant-based, which is another factor. I don't know if people are plant-based or not, but it goes with all diets and it's extremely sustainable. And you use materials, everything can be economically sustainable. So, you know, using the corn husk, everything can go back into the earth, and it's like a guilt-free snack, meal, whatever. And not only that, you can make tamales, you can make it into a dessert, you can make it into a meal, you can add sugar, or you can add salt, or you can add meat, you can add pork, you can make a vegetable tamales, you can add corn, squash, and beans inside of it. I mean, you can add red chili, green chili. It's really amazing. And I just think that all the benefits, you know, with making blue corn mama dolls is also just like very beautiful. I mean, it really is a labor of love. So when you do eat it, you just feel so nourished in so many different ways. And I think that's what's so beautiful about food. I feel like, and when you gift these to anybody, I think that, well, when you gift anything at all, it's the highest form of frequency and energy that you can give someone else, because money is actually the lowest vibration and currency you can exchange with another human. But when you gift give, especially food, flowers, plants, vegetables, fruits, things like this, it is such a high energy exchange that the love is immediately felt in so many different ways. And I think that's one of the core values for Indigenous people, Pueblo people, is that we always give as well. So I just think that would be an amazing thing to do, especially with the holidays coming up. You know, it would be a great project to work with your family and then give a few away. I mean, eat it together. It's just literally a labor of love. So it really nourishes in so many different ways beyond the physical. So thank you for that. That was our presentation, you know, just to kind of get us started for this resilience garden. And we have an amazing presentation coming up with Chef Ray, and we're going to talk a little bit about more corn, you know, and any questions at the end, I would love to, you know, answer. And I really just want to emphasize the spiritual aspects that these fruits, vegetables, and gardens can actually do for our spirit. And it helps us be connected with the land around us, which is important, but also our own spiritual being. We all have our own spirit. And I think that's, you know, extremely important when it comes to gardening. And yes, so I guess I will continue on, and we'll have questions and things like that here in a bit. So,
Thank you, Ria. I was hoping that we could get some audience participation. Let's find out where some of our audience is coming from today. If you could put in the chat box your name and where you're coming from, uh, we'd appreciate it, and it'll help us to know where you guys are coming from today. So I see, who do we have? Several participants. I see we have a participant coming from San Felipe Pueblo. Do we have any, if you guys would like to please in the chat box, put down where you're coming from. So we have Ramona Lujan. She's Tiwa. She's from Sacramento, California. We have Charita Brown coming all the way from Mesa, Arizona.
Topeka, Kansas.
Hey, Ted. Ted Schreiner's here. Ted Schreiner is also one of our longtime participants. He would come to every Seasons of Growth that we usually have at the IPCC, at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center during normal times. Thank you for coming. Who else do we have, Rhea?
We have Melanie from Hopi. Hey, Melanie. Arnie from North Valley in Albuquerque. Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming. Currently living out in Virginia, but hopefully be back home in New Mexico soon from Megan. I hope you come back soon too. You know, I hope all this stuff clears up so we can start traveling again. That would be amazing. Eldrina is from Laguna, Tiwa, and Hopi, living in Amarillo, Texas. Brenda from Alamogordo, New Mexico. Wow, we got all region. Michael San Felipe. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Michael. How you doing? Thanks for joining us today. Great. Thank you, everybody, for participating, and thank you again for joining us. So now we're going to transition. We're going to transition into and invite you to our corn harvest. So, Rhea, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's see if this works. Did I stop screen?
So I can't see your screen anymore.
Oh, one more time. Sorry about that, you guys. Technical difficulties. We are all learning how to kind of relearn how to do our okay. Let's see if it's going to share. Okay, can you see my screen?
Okay. Just can't hear it. There's no audio.
And we'd like to show you a traditional drying technique that we've used for since time immemorial, I guess. So what we did is we harvested some of our corn in a resilience garden, and this is some of our nice harvest here. And we're going to show you how we traditionally dry corn. And we have a really awesome solar dehydrator we can show you. And our other solar dehydrating methods, we're going to use the air and the sun. So are you ready for that? Yes. First, we're going to go ahead and peel back some of the beautiful corn and put it through. So remember, we don't want to waste anything, so we want to utilize all that we have here in the garden. So I'm going to put this silk, the beautiful silk from the corn. We're going to put this silk here. And what you can do with the silk is you can make a tea out of it. It's good for mental or prostate health and for other medicinal uses. But you can also use what we're not. You can also take what we're not going to use and put it in our compost here next year. So we're just pulling back some of that. about the audio. So that was our corn drying demonstration. I'm gonna give it to you, Ria, for a second so I can pull up the second video.
Okay, yeah, I know the audio, we having technical difficulties with that, but basically in the video, we demonstrated how we had picked the corn, we had husked the corn, and then we took off the silk on top. And Shannon explains in the video that the silk, each little silk represents a kernel in the corn. So, and we save the silk. We save every part of the corn and we use it. It can be used for tons of different things. I know we use our husk for tamales. We use it for different types of braiding. We use our silk. The silk is used, I think, for teas. It's used for medicines. It's used for, I can't remember at this moment, but we save every part of the corn. And then also in the video, we husked it. So we pulled the husk down and we wet the husks in the water. That was water on the table, and we soaked it in there for a little bit so the husk could get soft and malleable so we could actually braid it. So then once we did that, we kind of separated it, and we had a few different variations of corn. Some were big, some were small. So we put that aside and we started trying to measure some that were like kind of the same size. So once we did that, we got 3 corn and we braided it. And there is 3 strands to a braid, spiritual, emotional, and physical. So when you're braiding, I mean, just like with any braids, you want to intentionally braid with good intention, meaningful thought behind that, because that is what it's like our therapy as Indigenous people. Even though we didn't sit and talk face to face, times like this where women would gather and sit around the table, that was our therapy. We would actually, discuss a bunch of things, story tell. We would share, intimate things about ourselves, things like that. And this is like a form of therapy. So also when you braid with intention, I feel like you're putting prayer and affirmation into each thing that you are doing. And I think that's really amazing that even though we didn't have like one-on-one therapy, we did in our own way. And that this was one of the examples of how that Indigenous Pueblo people actually came together, and we were able to share things that we needed help with, and we were able to do things like that. And then secondly, after that, we actually took the braided corn and we went to hang it up to dry. So I think we're back. Did we find the other video?
So we have a question. How is the silk boiled for tea? So you can just take the corn silk off of the cob. Let's say you have getting your cob, and you can see the different silks right here. You would just boil that down, just like how you were boiling any kind of herb, and just let it steep for a while. Again, this is not to we're not trying to give you medical advice. We're just trying to, relate some of our experiences and traditional foods. So with that said, I did find our corn harvesting video, and I'm going to share that with you. So I don't think you can hear my audio, but you would have normally heard some beautiful flute playing music go along with our video. So just imagine Ria's back there and she's playing her flute, and we're just watching the corn harvest. So this is going to be imaginary part of our presentation. So let's see if Ria, let's see if we can pull up some questions. I think you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Yes, I am. So the first question is, what was it like for you this growing season? I guess planting seeds, pulling weeds, watering, nurturing the corn, collecting the corn pollen, etc., harvesting corn. And I would like to invite everyone to kind of participate in this. And if you had any experiences for your growing season, to share it with us. And I think that would be amazing to kind of create some dialogue here. For this growing season, it was very emotional because of the pandemic happening at the same time. So it was a really great way to help ground me personally. Not only did I work with the resilience garden, which I wasn't able to actually do the planting season. I was able to plant my own garden in my backyard, which was the first time I've ever done a garden in my entire life and actually learned anything about it. And the more I learn, the more I understand, like the less I know. So there's just an immense amount of knowledge out there. And I feel really blessed that I'm able to kind of be more in tune with myself through the land, because I feel like once we're connected with the land, we're also connecting with our own spiritual selves. So that was really amazing for me, but it was also very hard because of COVID, and for technical reasons, a lot of gardening things were unavailable because everybody was doing a garden. So that made it a little hard too. But other than that, I mean, it was honestly like a really healing, amazing experience. It was very cathartic. Like I could just go on and on about how the garden was awesome, but it taught me so much patience. I mean, I really had to be patient. I was expecting to see things grow like overnight and harvest them immediately, but I really had to be patient and grow with it. And it really was cool because you're able to see your seed come into fruition, into a full life, just into like this beautiful food that can actually nourish your body. And it feels amazing that you could help be there through the process. So yeah, so we have a question, and it says, what do you do with the rest of the plant after you harvest? So
I'll take that one.
Okay, yeah.
So Megan, thank you for the question. So here at the IPCC in the Resilience Garden, we are a learning and a teaching garden. And so some of our corn stalks we do keep for teaching kind of materials. We teach students and our youth the kind of the about the corn stalk, about the prop roots, about the upper leaves, the lower leaves, the corn silk, um, the tassel. We teach about the growing process, and so we use that as kind of learning tools. Some of our other plants, we save all of our corn husks to make our tamales. So what Ria showed you earlier, making mama dolls. So we don't waste any part of our plant. And then also we give back the plant back to the earth. And so different communities have different ways of tending to their land. So here at IPCC, because we are in the city, we're not really allowed to do like a burn, like if we would burn our fields at the end of the year, because that ash kind of regenerates the earth and the soil. So what we do with that, we do burn down some of our corn, and the ashes, we put it back into the soil to help regenerate it, and then we use what's not left, we put it in our compost. So with that, we are going to transition now into we have one more question. Ria, do you want to get that one?
Oh, okay. When chili is left on the plant to dry, does it matter if the cold freezes the plant? Does this affect the seed? I don't know how to answer that. I think that when the chili is left on the plant to dry, I don't know. What do you think, Shannon?
So let me when the chili is left on the plant to dry. So what we do sometimes, you know, with our chilies, and I have some here. One second. This is actually what was grown and harvested in our garden a few days ago by Rhea. And we did have a kind of a frost, not a frost, I guess a early frost, maybe a month ago when we were doing the chili demonstration. And so what we saw was the chili, some of it, when it got cold, it turned like black. But if you're drying your chili, you see our chili reach goes, I don't know if you see my drying chili. Some of it is naturally drying outside anyway, and so it's going to be in the outside elements. And you should really be keeping your seeds in a cool, dry place. But I don't know if it will affects the cold does affect the plant by maybe turning it a little darker color. So with that, we're going to transition right now into, I'm really honored to share with you, we have a awesome video with our Chef Ray Naranjo. Rhea, do you want to tell us a little bit about Chef Ray while I pull up the video?
Okay, so Chef Ray is our Pueblo Harvest chef here at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. He is from Santa Clara, and he is an amazing chef, and he's a fine dining chef, so he incorporates Indigenous everything. He likes to use traditional Indigenous foods into his meals, and he likes to talk about the core values of Pueblo food, and everything that we're going to have in this video is traditional as far as what we used to eat before contact. And when I say before contact or pre-contact, I mean before, you know, settlers came into New Mexico. So that's just a little intro. I'm excited to see this video.
Greetings to you all. My name is Chef Ray Naranjo. Today we have a two-part cooking demo. First part will be Three Sisters. The second part will be Wild Rabbit, Last Supper. We have our corn, sweet corn. It's in the husks. We have an acorn squash. We have butternut squash and pumpkin. They would all be named the same in Table. I'm not sure the other Pueblo languages, but they all have a reference to water. On this side, we have a revived bean, Anasazi bean, which was revived ancient crop from beans found in a excavated ancestral site. And now for the ingredients list for the wild rabbit and its last supper. We have cactus fruit, wild cactus fruit. We have epazote. We have salt from the Galisteo Basin. We have this year's pinon crop, both shelled and shell on. We have sunflower seed, corn silk. We have two types of rabbit, jackrabbit, cottontail, and wild roseberry. So let's get ready to cook. So I'll be preparing the rabbit with the seasoning blend, the Galisteo Basin salt, some of the epazote, corn silk, the roasted shell pinon, roasted sunflower seeds. We'll grind all that together. prepare the rabbit by stuffing it with the wild rosemary into the cavity. Seasoning it with this really nutty salt mix. It says the rate's going up there. All right, so we're roasting in the center of a bunch of coals. So it's real direct, really high heat. It's probably about 900 degrees in there. It's going to get you a really fast result. It's going to char and just cook all the way through. It's almost ready. So we're going to have the sweet corn. We're going to fill it right in there. That's going to roast. Okay, so for the rabbit, we wanted to get some caramelization from the coals itself. Now we moved it away from the coals so it can finish cooking in the inside. In the background, we have some corn roasting, and it's husk. Those are cooking really fast as well, so those are about ready to come out. Okay, we're cleaning the squash. Just cutting them in half, taking the seeds out. And we're not going to season them with anything. We're going to put them straight in the oven, just like that. Okay, we're going to be pulling out our rabbit and our corn. We can make room for the squash. bad here. Whew, it's so hot. And the reason why you cook them on the valley like that, so when you flip them over, all the meat on top is perfect. Okay, yeah, so we have the squash. It's a nice char on the outside, but as we touch the outside, it still has a ways to go. When it stops with the thump sound, and it'll actually fall cave in slightly. Then we're right where we need to be. Okay, so we have the beans, anasazi beans cooked in plain water, salted later so the beans cook faster. We also added epazote, which is helps take the gas out of the beans, so the beans aren't gassy. We flavored that with some local spicy chilies also. So we'll start with our rabbit with its Last Supper presentation. So the rabbit went in first into the extreme heat to char mainly the bottom side, because the part of the rabbit that you want are these loins here. Those are the ideal pieces As long as you're nice and roasted, you're good to go there. We have some roasted prickly pear fruit, some pinon roasted from this year's harvest. Okay, so moving on to the corn roasted in its husk. Obviously, some of the corn husk removes itself and chars, gives it a nice, the flavor I like char flavor. I'm not a real nice char flavor, but I believe it's an additional seasoning. We have next to it the beans that were prepared with the chili and the epazote, plain water, and finished with salt later. Actually cooked in the pottery in the horno. Okay, then we have the squash on this other side here. Charred on the outside, cooked to, I guess, your desired doneness. I personally like mine to have a little bit of a bite to it, so it could be like a handheld food, and some season it with some roasted pinon, some roasted sunflower seeds, and some corn silk. Also some salt on there.
So just a few things about the video that I thought was really cool because I was able to witness it live and be there. The rabbit cooked in like 10 minutes. Like it was so fast, it blew my mind. But chef did say that the oven can get up, it's like 900 degrees in there. It is so hot. So that's why everything cooked really fast. I think preparing, cleaning up took just as long as it did cooking. It was just like so quick because the oven gets so hot and it's, the heat is just so dense in there. It was really amazing to see everything like that he did when it came to prepping for this video. Just being there was an amazing experience to see that. And, I remember as a kid, I used to eat rabbit when we went rabbit hunting here in our Pueblo, San Diego Pueblo. And I remember my mom skinning a rabbit and just doing things like that while she was, when I was a kid. So it was really great to kind of go back to that. And as a person who's trying to be like mindful about the meat I eat, it was really amazing to actually have wild game because chef is the one who actually got the rabbit from his homelands in Tiwa land, Tewa-land. And so it was amazing to just kind of have a full meal like that with wild game. So that was amazing. Shannon, are you going to demonstrate something right now? Okay, so I think Shannon's going to be demonstrating winnowing.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, great. So this is some of our blue corn that we grew in the garden a few seasons ago. And we're going to use this one instead of the one that we grew this year because it's a little bit more dry.
Shannon, can't really hear you. Like at first you could hear you, but not really.
Okay, so I'll just do the corn demonstration.
I can hear it now, yeah.
You're going to want to take the kernel off. process is, can you hear me? This process
Yes.
is called winnowing. And so what I did is I took the corn kernels off of the corn, and now I'm going to use this basket in the air as kind of a natural. And what this does is it takes off all the skin, like the shaft of the corn. If you could see in here, it's floating around in the Pueblo house right now. And you're going to be separating your corn from what's coming off the corn. So usually it's nice to do this. Also, wind helps naturally do this. You want to do this outside because it can get a little messy. And so that's our winnowing demonstration.
Thank you, Shannon. So I guess now we'll move on to a few questions. I see that a few questions were asked. I'm gonna read them right now. Where did you source the rabbit? So Chef Ray is actually the one who got the rabbit. He got a bow and arrow. I'm just kidding. He didn't do it with a bow and arrow. He actually shot the rabbit. So he got it in Tewa territory on his res. So he went hunting for it, and that's how he was able to get the rabbit for us. Hello, nice to see you. Do you make the corn silk tea when the silk is fresh or dry? So I think it kind of depends. I think you can do both, honestly. Just like any kind of tea, you can dry your herbs and your teas and make it both. I mean, Shannon, would you agree?
If you live here in the Albuquerque area, they do sell corn husks, dry corn husks at the fruit basket on 4th Street. And so that's what also Chef Ray used in his food demonstration. So when the corn husks, they dry, they look a little darker, almost like dark brown or like a darker color. So you can get that here in Albuquerque again at the fruit basket on 4th Street.
Okay. I use my backyard as both a garden and a refuge for wildlife. This means that animals, birds, and insects are going to eat some of my crops and use parts of the garden as habitat. What is the Pueblo view of the relationship between gardens and wildlife? How do you balance the need to share with wildlife with the need to save some of what you grow for human needs?
So if you, thank you for asking that question. If you had joined us at our last month's Seasons of Growth, we had a guest panelist, some from the Navajo ethno-agriculture. And so everybody really has different techniques, even though ours are similar. All of our communities, we have different techniques and different learning styles. But one that I would like to share is something that was shared with me when we're planting, especially corn. We learned that you plant 4 kernels. And so 1 kernel is for human, 1 kernel is for the earth, 1 kernel is for insects, and 1 kernel is for animals. And so you want to be sustainable and plan ahead, because we know that the birds are going to take some of our crops, and we know that the insects are going to take some of our crops as well. And so we're wanting to share with them in our relationship, because we all live here together, and we are part of this land, and so we share with our crops. So we want to also grow sustainably and grow and plant enough so that we know that if there is damage to our crops due to like locusts or grasshoppers, we will still have some left over. And one thing I wanted to mention, one important thing about corn is that corn and the human relationship, we have a really close relationship, because corn can't thrive without human intervention. So it needs humans to help grow. So it needs humans to plant it and grow it. So let's just say, for instance, that you did have a corn and that it, you know, did fall on the ground. Yes, it could potentially grow, but all those little kernels that we showed you are like little plants. And so what would happen is that they would like tangle each other up and kind of choke each other out. So they wouldn't be able to grow without human connection and human support. So one important also thing that I like to mention is that, as we know, corn came from teosinte, which was a grass around 9,000 years ago. And it took about 4,500 years later that humans, through many generations and selective planting, that we developed corn in what we now know as Mesoamerica. And as Ria was saying before, corn is a very important part of our culture. It's a part of who we are. We celebrate corn in our dances. For instance, myself and my daughter and my family, we participate in our corn dances on July 14th. And Coach, we in corn, we use our cornmeal for prayer. And then also in our art. Corn also was very versatile. It was used in many different ways before it was edible. So we know that they used it for different things like sleeping mats. They used it for clothing. They used it to make tools out of. They used it for food. You know, their own little paper plates, kind of plates that was sustainable and that could be repurposed in different ways. So our ancestors, we really have to thank for their knowledge, for sharing their knowledge with us so that we're able to maintain and continue to keep growing corn the way we do. And so it's very sacred to us as Indigenous people, as Pueblo people, and many different communities also have a relationship with corn, where we refer to corn as like our corn mother because it has connections with the earth, with our spirituality, with everything about who we are as Pueblo people and as Indigenous people. So let's see. Ria, do we have any more questions on the chat? Oh, I see that we have Nanaba and Gloria. Nanaba, I'm going to, Nanaba and Gloria were actually our participants last month. I'm going to see if they want to share a little bit. And during this second half of our webinar, we're going to invite you to share your screen and also give you permission to go ahead and if you want to do a live chat. So I'm just giving you I'm removing your permissions right now.
So we do have a few questions. Do you use the basket do you have to use the basket for this, or will any container work?
You can use a basket. You can use, let's say, if you have a sifter that you use, you can use a strainer. Really, you can be very versatile because remember, we use what we had. So use your indigeneity and be resourceful and use what you have to thresh the corn.
Okay, so thank you for that question. We have another one. Does corn silk add to the recipe? Can the recipe be shared? So,
if you would like to, some of our recipes, Ria, if you can put our email address below in the chat box, you can copy and paste our contact information, and we'd be happy to share some different things with you. But if you give us a nice email and request that information, we can see what we can do to give you the information that you're requesting.
Yeah, and then we have another question with, does Chef Naranjo ever offer classes? So
very good question. So yes, Chef Naranjo is actually, we're going to be offering some classes starting in January, and keep looking on our website. We will be signing up participants in December. Again, Chef Ray is going to be coming out with
You
some
want to
different
start video?
classes.
No,
Hey, is this Miss Lane?
I'm going to be on.
Hi, Hannibal. So we have an impromptu guest here making a guest cameo. We have Miss Gloria Lane, and then we also have Nanaba Lane. They are from the Navajo Ethno-Agriculture. And so I was referring to what you said last month with the webinar portion that giving the answer about the corn, about planting the 4 kernels.
Oh, yeah.
Could you give us a little bit more, if you wouldn't mind, a little bit more knowledge on that topic?
Hi, everybody. You know what? I have 2% on my computer. I just saw that, but I'll have my mom explain that because she's the one who taught that to us and to the class. Okay, she's right here.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gloria Lane, and I'm the founder of Navajo Ethno-Agriculture here in Ninanizad, New Mexico. And we've been planting corn for a long time. My grandparents have been doing it and for a couple of generations now. And my mother said always put in 4. 4 is like a magic number within our tribe. The number 4 is sacred. So when we're plant our corn, we put four corn into the ground, 1 for the Mother Earth and Father Sky, and then the insects that are living in the earth and around us, the birds too. And then the last one is for us, the humans. So we put those 4 seeds in there. And it also, we just don't plant 1 seed, put 1 seeds in the ground. If we put 4 of them, it's stronger. The stalks are stronger. So when there's a wind, at least they support themselves. So that's another example of how people can support themselves. You can't just do it alone. So that is our thing about putting 4 seeds in the ground. And then we teach these to the students that come to the farm. We are an educational farm, but this year, since the pandemic, we have switched to a different set. And I'll have Nanaba talk to you about that. Okay, Nanaba.
I'm trying to get us hooked back up with the to make sure that our computer doesn't die. But I'll come back onto the other computer, Shannon.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good.
Ready.
So Ria, in the meantime, do we have any other chats? Everybody now has permission. If you'd like to take yourself off mute, you can now ask a live question. So we invite any live questions that you may have. We invite you to have an open dialogue with us for our remaining part of the show.
I have no more questions. But
Michael, I'm going to shout out to you, Michael Lucero. How are you doing out there in San Felipe?
Doing okay so far. You're doing all right. Thank you.
Oh, great, great.
You guys are doing an awesome job.
I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on Chef Ray's classes that he will have coming up next year.
Ooh, talk about being on the spot. Yes. So we have, several ideas that we're working on at IPCC. And so basically what's happening is the Pueblo Harvest Restaurant will be transitioning to a learning style kitchen once we open up. And it'll be known as the Indian Pueblo Kitchen. And for starters, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Chef Ray do a series of interaction cooking. And our guests and people will be able to purchase a box to kind of help cook along. And so what we'll do is we'll record chef preparing these meals that will be available to everyone to purchase and cook alongside, so they can click on a link and kind of watch at their own pace. And it's designed for, of course, a healthier lifestyle of eating. Again, it's like things that come from the garden. And it's supposed to be a 90-day challenge as well. So to try to stay on the course of healthy eating. And so you'll be able to pick up a box every week and, cook along with Chef Ray. And we'll kind of have some check-ins and a platform where people can kind of share their experience on social media. They can share their, the food that they prepare or their process of cooking. So we're looking to launch that sometime in January. So we're just, putting it together, and then we'll be able to launch that, shortly after the new year. And so maybe it'll align with, people's resolutions to, make healthier eating choices, or, if they have a fitness goal that they'd like to meet, this is supposed to really encourage that. And so that's for starters, as we, look forward to transitioning into the Indian Pueblo kitchen.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for sharing. And sorry to put you on the spot, but excellent answer and response to one of the questions that was asked. With that, Ria, do you want to lead us into our closing and let us know about our next month's webinar?
Okay. Yeah, so first of all, I'd just like to thank everybody for taking time out of their day to join us for this month's Seasons of Growth. I feel like it's very mindful and amazing that you guys chose to share your Sunday morning with us. And I know we all have, busy times. So yes, next month we are going to be having 2 guests. It'll actually be Chef Ray Naranjo as one of our guests, and the amazing Roxanne Swensel, who both specialize in Pueblo food. So it would be amazing to hear their perspective and kind of their knowledge and their take on Indigenous Pueblo food. So that will actually be falling on the 3rd Sunday of November, which is calendar, November 15th. Same time, 11 to 12:30, 11 to 1. And so we're going to have a really awesome Seasons of Growth in November because we have amazing panelists, and you were able to see Chef demonstrate, the horno oven cooking that we did here at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center at our Pueblo House and Pueblo Classroom. So it'll be amazing to actually hear him talk about his experience while doing this and, what he's learned. And I know they worked very closely together, and anyone who knows about the Pueblo food diet knows Roxanne Swensel, because she's a radical when it comes to food. She's really sustaining, and she's really reverting back to traditional foods and the core values. So it'll be amazing to for that presentation.
Yes. Yeah, so in our normal programming, normally in the month of November, what we would have done is we would have had a garden to feast kind of a celebration for our participants of Seasons of Growth. So what normally happens is that our participants would come here to the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, and then they would learn different techniques every month with hands-on application and activity that we also do. So sometimes it would be harvesting corn, or making corn mama dolls, or planting the corn seeds. So we have different activities that we do with our participants. But in the month of November, we like to honor our participants for the time that they give to us in learning. And so we cook them a Pueblo style feast here in our Pueblo house, which you can see right behind me. So we have our nice fire going on. We have all our feast day foods with our red chilies and our green chilies and our corn and squash and bean meals. And so we really give thanks to those who have come and shared knowledge with us. And so what we are going to do in a virtual setting, because we're not able to gather together during this time, unfortunately, is we're going to be having a feast with you virtual style. And so Chef Ray is going to be doing another food demonstration themed around Thanksgiving, but more of a Pueblo style ways of how we give thanks and giving back to our community, because that's the important part of who we are as Pueblo people, is giving back with reciprocity, because that's one of our core values that we believe in, to give back to that we may receive later on in, from our blessings from Creator. And so with that, we invite you to, again, register online. You can register either on our Facebook event page, or you can look on our IPCC website. Ria, would you mind typing up that website one more time, the www.ipcc.com? And so one last thing I'd like to share with everybody before we go on is a resource. And I know a lot of us we have students that may be homeschooling. We have a really awesome resource that we can share with you within our Indigenous wisdom curriculum. And it's a whole lesson about Teosinte, about where corn comes from. It's a high school lesson, but some of the concepts can be modified for younger grades as well. You can download that free curriculum lesson on our website, on the Indigenous Wisdom website, and download it for free. If you have any questions, please feel free to email either Ria and I think she has given our email addresses in the chat box. So please reach out to us, and we will do our best to answer any questions or feedback that we may have. And with that, thank you again for sharing your Sunday with us. We appreciate that you took the time to be here today, and we thank you and your family, and we hope that you are safe during this time, and we hope that you come back and join us next month. Thank you again for joining us for this October Seasons of Growth, where we harvested our blue corn. We did corn tying and drying demonstrations, as well as a winnowing demonstration. We also had a traditional food demonstration from Chef Ray Naranjo, and followed with participant feedback. Again, we invite you back next month, and we look forward to seeing more of you. Thank you again for joining us. This will be a conclusion to our webinar. We will see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Nasa.
I'll call you this week.
Thank you very
Yeah, Nanaba.
Yeah, that was unexpected. Like, oh my goodness, we're not even, wait, we're still, no, but so how are you guys
doing? I saw you on the chat, so I thought that I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, you know what? When I switched over to the other, so I changed computers, but when I changed to the computer, our screen changed. So I don't know if you changed the invite, like if you have control as a pet, like so it did, the whole thing just changed. I was like, oh wow.
That's a good question. I need to log on as a participant and see what you guys see, because when I log in, it's as a host, so I have a whole different screen. So next month, I'm going to try to log in as a participant just to see what you guys see in virtual land.
Okay, and also I think the last time we mentioned this is your screen is a little bit foggy. I don't know, it might be like,
I think it's the light that's right there.
Yeah, I think it's the lighting or in the building that you're in right now, because it's like
white. I think I'm wearing white and it's a white background.
Huh. Yeah, because I think last time we asked you, but we also want to get how can we get a recorded version of the last event we were all on?
I sent it to your email, there's a login and then there's a password.
Okay.
So I don't, if you want to, I can resend it.
Okay.
But
yeah,
if you
that'd be
have
good.
any trouble logging in, let me know. But there's a password and it has like different, weird
Okay.
things that it doesn't look like a password.
Okay.
But let me know if you're not able to log in, and then I can resend it to you again.
Okay.
I think I sent it the other day.
Okay. Okay. Good. We're watching how you guys are doing your webinars because we haven't had any, and we know we will have to start doing it next, like as soon as I think next semester or even this winter. And it's a little bit nerve-wracking, so I might call you for some tips.
Oh, you and your mother and all the participants in your farm. I mean, you guys did a phenomenal job. I was going to give the whole thing to you and be like, okay, we'll do that.
You know, we actually, those are the interns we had. And when you asked us to do this, we got in contact with them. We're like, they're such a big part of what we did all summer. We need to make sure they're included, right? And also they have a much different experience than we do, because ours is like redundant, like this is what we do. But they were so much more just like enthusiastic. I hope you guys felt that, on your end.
Oh yeah.
And just I was a little bit concerned about the time and stuff, and I would look and I was like, am I confused? I have 2 different times in my head. But it all worked out really well, so it's all good.
It did. It worked out really, really well. And man, you guys did such an excellent job in presenting. I was going to get tips from you.
And we just winged it. I think the students, they were kind of nervous, but they I think once they talked, they really talked about what it is that they learned and what they liked most, and those are kind of the things. There's like, what is it? Focus on a couple of things that you really liked to do and what you learned. And that helped a lot. So
I think it comes off better too when it's more personal and when you do wing it, because no matter how much you plan, something always goes wrong. Our videos, like if you want, you have it all planned, you know where your video is, you're gonna press play, but stuff always happens, so you just have to do it.
It just seems less like, because I feel like sometimes when it's scripted, it's just like you have this thing that comes out, like this experience or this thought that's just like, oh, I could, and you think so hard about it, and that's like the main thing you want to get across, and you just forgot about it. So yeah.
But what's good to have is somebody that's like the moderator. So usually that's me, and Ria asks. I do the behind the scenes, kind of like I'm letting people in, I'm taking people off mute. I'm like, I do all these behind the scenes stuff, and then Ria is more like she'll answer the questions. So it really takes like 2 people to run the webinar.
Yeah, 2 people. And then what was I gonna say? Oh, the little boy. I think he just really helped us a lot too, because
he was so cute.
And he was just so like cute. talking. He's like, phew. We're glad he was there. So very good. You ladies are doing a really good job. I like all the presentation and how you keep it long. But we think about like, how we're missing all the time out there and how fun it is.
Thank you. Well, you've been here. It's different when you're in person, and then when you're in person, you get that more, you get the hands-on, you get to actually participate in doing things and asking questions and the dialogue, and virtually kind of like it's all on you really, and there's no like even if you ask for participant interaction, very few times you'll get it. And so that's why we pick on people that we know. We're like, oh, look, here's Michael, or look, here's Michael, just to help, so it's not just us all the time. So it's nice for you to have somebody that that's going to watch, so that you could like be your little, what do you call
Yeah.
them? Not like a mole, but you plant them there to ask questions or guided questions.
Yeah. I should have so that screen, the change screen, that was kind of weird too, because I thought it was chatting with you, and then it was like the Q&A. So when I changed over to the different screen, then that's when I was able to directly message you. So
Oh, yeah.
you'll see how it is. You should definitely check it out. Just see how it is, what we see on this side, and just like the shared screen, I think, and just figuring out how to get off that shared screen so that we have the full so there was at one point where the two of you were on the screen, Rhea and Shannon, but you were, for the most part, like on it was showing like they were all shared screens, even though the presenter, it should have like been the full screen for the presenter. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah. It happened a couple of times.
I'll see what happened. I don't know why. Thank you for telling us. I didn't know it did that. And so we usually see in the after we do the feedback, we're like, oh, I didn't know you couldn't hear me, or I didn't know my microphone wasn't working.
Yeah.
You hear all this afterwards. And I'm so I had on my headphones. I thought I was plugged into the computer. Like I forgot I unplugged it to reach back and get my chili, and here I'm all still talking with my headphones on, and I didn't even wasn't plugged in.
Yeah. So how did you guys do on the grant, the NAF grant? Did you get it?
We got we got it, but they still haven't told us the amount.
Really?
Yeah, we got I think that's the Native American agriculture.
Yeah.
I think that's the one, we got one of them. We applied for USDA, and then that one. I think it's that Native American one that we did get, and they haven't told us the amount yet, but we have that training session in November.
Oh, no, that's not, I don't think that's it, because the award, like the response letter just went out. Like the deadline was Friday. So you would, unless they have it a different way because you're a bigger organization, but the award, it's basically like you're accepting the award, right? And it tells you what your amount is, and if you have to restructure the budget, then you have to go and restructure the budget because of the COVID stuff, and then resubmit, and then they ask you for all of maybe your grant person took care of it. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't think that's beyond my expertise. I think our grant person does.
Yeah, we do all of that stuff on our own here. It's all here. It's all us.
I know. The hardest part for me, I think, is the grant writing this summer, because I came from public schools, working with Indian education. And so we never had to do that kind of grant writing, working for a nonprofit now. So it's kind of new to me.
Oh, so you were just like directly in education, and you would just like give it
directly in education. Yes. So I was, I worked directly with the Indian education department for like 10 years, and
oh wow,
you're different capacities, and so
for sure.
K through 12. So that was kind of like my experience coming in here was more towards like the K-12 knowledge and working with that.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, my dad helps us out a lot with that, because he has K-12 experience for like over 30 years. So he's the one who structured all the school stuff. Oh, that's how we function. And that's the only way, because otherwise it'd be like, oh yeah, this is cool. Let's do this. Let's do this. And he has a really good grasp on how to relate with the students, to the students, and keep it kind of like in that format. Otherwise, like I said, we'd be all over the place.
That's the one part where I think we miss the most, is not having that student interaction, because it's just like, they just bring all that life into the center, and it's just
One thing, so the students, we wanted to mention, like the students, we wanted to mention that we all, we're all masked and stuff, if you notice, because the students, the university would not, they have to follow all this protocol. So we adopted all of those protocols on our, and also we don't want to like taint that image that like native communities, we're not masking and we're not like taking precautions. So that's something, even when we're talking, we'll like unmask, but we'll still like mask. So anytime that people, I don't know if you guys have thought about that, if you guys have.
Yes. So what we do is, I'll show you.
I mean, not that I'm like, it's just like some good constructive criticism. Also the chef, when the chef was there, because we work with the chef as well, and he's always masked, but like just in terms of like working with food, you know. And so
so when we're here with a large group, this is what we use for our to disinfect the air.
Oh yeah.
So we only have we only usually have one person that's without the mask, and that was at that time Chef Ray. And so we did have the our sage kind of clearing out the air. We should mention that. We usually do.
Yeah.
We usually do mention that as a safety protocol. That's what we have been doing. And so thank you for that.
Yeah, and just when you get out into a space or there are like 2 or 3 people, and it's not just for, I'm sure we all know the safety protocol, but it's the image that we're giving off to like people in England or people in like New York, and like people who are super judgmental, you know.
You're right.
Who can just be like, oh my God, I was on this thing, I was on this webinar, and it was like Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, the Indians aren't like masking, you know? But
you're right. I should have and we, even though we talk about it, we didn't talk about it in the filming, or we didn't talk about it in the webinar, which we should, and we will bring that up. I did bring it up the last time about being in a group. That's what we did, but this time
And I only say that also because I had this thing with Aspen Institute and NTU, and it was it was all about society and science, and like bringing like native knowledge into like science, the hard sciences and stuff, and blending them. So we sent pictures to we sent pictures, you know, they wanted headshots, they wanted like action shots, like candid shots of work we do and stuff like that. So they were very careful not to include pictures where the president of the college was not masked if he was like giving a talk. So they scratched that. And then another one where he was in a lab that like his mask was dangling. It was like clear that he was wearing it, but it was hanging off the side of his face. So they didn't want to use that. And then all the pictures I sent, even if they were in groups, I made sure the students were masked. And even if they want, like, there was one that wasn't, and there was one, or like a group, a picture that was taken before COVID-19, I made sure that was like, this is before COVID-19. I mean, even though it seems really like no brainer, but you really have to like put that out there, because people are just, you know, really critical about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Make a note to that, that we'll remember that for next month.
I did, yes. I'm writing this down.
And even at the very beginning, and we do it all the time too, is that, and when I'm writing something or sending pictures, just a small little note of like, you know, oh, you're going to be seeing pictures here, and we want to let you know, we want to let the audience know that all safety protocol of blah, 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 state, whatever, CDC is taken. And when people are unmasked, you don't even have to say it like that, but just like keep the positivity of that everyone is doing that. So that's really helpful, because we were self-isolated for like 3 months here, our family. So when we started working with students, we learned a lot from them, and we just adopted like the college stuff. Is like, what is it that they have to follow? Okay, they're pretty open, but a lot of schools would not, you know, they would not allow their students to come. So as just like an educational, you know, setting that you guys are at, I think that's really like something to note, not like to really highlight or anything, but just to note.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you again for that.
Yeah.
So we're going to be getting, I'm here at the Pueblo house. I'm by myself, and Ria's at home. So I'm trying to get out of here because I'm by myself and I'm freaking out. I don't like being here by myself.
You all are doing a good job. Good job. And I'll let you on the next one, just to make sure. And I wanted to ask you, should we share this on our website? Like, you know, our ethno-agriculture website?
Yes, please do. Okay. Share it.
Website. And what else? Just social media, I think. Social media.
Yeah, share it. See, you have more capability to share things than we do. we can't share things on our Facebook. It's done with a marketing team, and so we have to put like work orders if we want them to share content. We have to put like a work order in, and so we can't just like
all kinds of bureaucracy.
Yeah, so you guys are really cool. It's like, oh, look, here's what we did, you know, and but we can't do that.
Okay, I will do that. If it's all like relevant to everything, I'll share on our stuff.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you
too.
Bye, Mom.
Okay. Bye.
Rhea, if you want to stay on just for a second.
Okay.
Good job. You did really good. Thank you for
good.
For all the dialogue. I really appreciate all the you know, the personal experience and then the just the additional kind of tidbits. It really adds to like the depth and, you know, it gives a little bit personality instead of just like, you know, like she was saying, like going through or like going, being all, well, next we're going to be, but it just seems nicer when it is kind of not winging it, I guess winging it, but, you know, just kind of going with the flow.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I couldn't find that video. You know that one that they did for the corn video? It's not on the my screen anymore. It says, oops, the video's gone. I don't know where it went. And so I was like, oh, I still have these clips, so I can still
yeah. That's all I could find too was the clips. I couldn't find the video. So I had the same problem. I wasn't sure what happened.
Now I'm thinking, I don't know if he sent the re-edit back, because I saw the one with I saw it with the flute video at first, and it went into like he edited it, but I don't know what happened to that video. It's not there anymore. It doesn't let me it doesn't
Ooh, he probably deleted it on his end and then forgot to upload it again.
Oh, because it shows this like little turkey or something. It says, oops, the video's not here anymore.
I don't know.
So just for today, don't forget to log out, do your lunch, and then log out at 4:30.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, remember you gotta submit your schedules.
Okay, I'm gonna do that now.
Okay. And then just like, you know, if you have any notes or feedback, we can go over it on Tuesday about like things that we can improve for next month.
For our Seasons of Growth? Okay, cool.
I did forget about mentioning the sage. Because
she had really good advice and like constructive criticism for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciate it because, you know, we're all learning. I think we're all learning. If we can all help each other to achieve our goals, and, you know, the better our content will be.
I agree.
Yeah, so I'm going to be leaving here. If you need anything, just give me a text, and then we'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow, I think about 11 or so, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Have a good weekend.
Yes, you too. Bye.
Bye.